Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest today is Lee Howell with Beehive Homes of Spring. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Kim?
And I'm doing great. And life is good. God is good. Everything's just coming up roses. How's that?
That's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I tell people I'm truly blessed. I'm so thankful for it every day. But today we're not talking about me today. We're going to talk about you, really more about your knowledge. So we're going to be talking about the top 3 dementia tips and suggestions. We really have focused our elder law practice, on dementia because we're having more and more clients that are, getting diagnosed with some type of dementia related, illness. We always encourage them to come to us, when they get, if you get a diagnosis, come in, let's, let us know, that kind of stuff. And tell our listeners from your perspective, why it's important to connect with experts and get advice.
To get that advice, I think is because you need to know firsthand where you're at with the disease process and what direction. That kind of gives you the direction where to go from there. Seeking what type of dementia, where it may have derived from, and then that helps you move on to the next step.
We find that a lot of clients will get a diagnosis of dementia from their primary care physician without doing any testing, without doing anything. They're just like, oh, you're forgetful. You have dementia. Here's a prescription. We encourage clients to see a neurologist for that second opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be my next step, would be to seek that professional help of, trying to figure out what to do. Would get the testing done that needs to be done and completed to figure out what is the actual next step from that point.
So, when you're thinking about experts, your neurologist or a neurologist, a lot of times a geriatric neurologist is one of the experts that we find that we tend to send clients to a lot. And what kind of experts do you recommend that your clients, should connect with in order to help facilitate, their journey and to gather information?
Well, again, first, it's going to be the neurologist. That's going to be your first step. Absolutely. And next would be lead sources, people that deal with placement to help you find placement for your loved one with dementia. And they can lead you into, and honestly, the Alzheimer's Association is the primary place to start, honestly. And because they can give you all of the resources, a list of resources that you need to help you out. And then from there, that will help you move into lead sources, people that can connect you with facilities that can help you out.
And so, do you find that a lot of the people you speak to don't do that?
There are some that try to venture out on this on their own, simply because they don't know. They don't understand. They haven't been led in that direction. Because you get the diagnosis for your loved one, and your first thought is, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Where do I go? I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. And my first thing is to get in contact with the Alzheimer's Association. I mean, that is a prime place to start. But there are a lot of people that try to venture this on their own, and you wear yourself down trying to come up with that solution. And the stress that that's entailed with that.
Well, we find that, that clients have different ideas about, what they should do or how they should do it. And, sometimes it takes them a while to come to decisions because they
Yeah.
seem to have a fear of making a decision because they don't want it to be the wrong one, because this is somebody they love and care about, so they really want that to occur. And so, but, we talk to clients a lot too about, how important it is to get help, before you get burned out. And so what suggestions do you have for our listeners, in that regards?
Plan A normally for most people is they want to figure out what they can do to care for that person at home. And that's natural. And that would be my first thing that I would want to do, is to try to figure out how to care for my loved one where we're at this moment. And but you always need to have plan B. And plan B is having that place to place that person for the care that's needed, and a place that that they're going to be taken care of. Because yes, decision making is very difficult, and because you want to make sure that, oh my gosh, this is their thought. Am I making the right decision? Is this choice going to be the right choice? And you're going to continue to do that. You're going to have that even though you choose somewhere to place your loved one. You're going to keep going. Am I making the right decision? Am I making the right decision? Doing that because they want them to be cared for like they were at home. No one can care for your loved one like you can. So you've got to find that place that will give you the next best thing to home.
Yeah, it reminds me of the conversations I have with clients who have minor kids. You are the best person to raise your kids, but who's second best?
Yes,
So,
that's
and you're actually correct. It really works, on the other spectrum as well. And so, and a lot of people, money's always a problem, in regards to, can I afford it? What kind of money do we need to be spending, when it comes to placement? Does price, equal the type of care? I mean, if I'm spending more money, am I getting better care? I mean, how does that equate in the real world versus, what we might think about in our head?
Oh no, most definitely not. You can spend tons of money because there's the old saying, you get what you pay for, and a lot of people lean to that, but it's not always so. The one thing that you want to look for, you're going to meet with a marketing person first, and they're going to give you that bright smile, and you're going to get the great care here, and this is what's going to happen, and this is how we're going to go to take care of them. And I would suggest to people that speak with the director of that building as well. Meet with the care staff. You're not going to get to see every care staff person, but when you're touring that building, my suggestion is stop and talk to those caregivers. Ask a couple of questions to them and get a feel. And most of the time, as you're there for a few minutes, you're gonna get a feel of what's going on, and because you're gonna feel it inside, and you're gonna know when it's heartfelt and when somebody really cares. And by meeting that director and speaking with them, you're gonna know what their outlook is on it and what their plan is to care for your loved one. And those are important things. You're naturally going to have meetings after you sign the paperwork and you get them settled in. You're going to have your care plan meetings and what their idea is to take care of them. But just kind of have that feel for that person, and because they're going to let you know. And if they're a caring person, they're definitely going to let you know. Compassion is one thing with dementia that you definitely have to have. A love and compassion for people. period. I really think that that's first and foremost. And without that compassion, they're just getting care. And but you have to have that love that goes with it for people.
So you mentioned something earlier that triggered a question for me. You said you should stop and ask the caregivers there some questions.
Sure.
Could you tell our listeners what kind of questions you think are appropriate that they should be asking those caregivers?
It might not directly be questions of, oh, well, how do you handle this situation, or how do you handle that situation? But just generally speaking to them, because you can get a feel or a vibe from that person. Their attitude is the one thing that you're looking for. If you see them in action there while you're touring, and you see what they're doing with other residents, then you can tell that whether someone loves someone and they care for them or not. And the one thing that I can say or suggest to people is when you're helping someone with dementia, don't always try to pull that person into your date, your time, and in your world. The best thing you can ever do for them is you go to wherever they are, wherever their world is at that moment, because every day is different. Sometimes every hour is different. And just making that connection with them wherever they are, and compassionately care for them, walk with them. And your conversation is based on wherever they are at that moment. And that is most definitely the best thing you could ever do for someone with dementia when you're caring for them.
I find that if you just you can just watch people, and because I'm one of those that I believe that actions speak louder than words. You can talk the talk, but you got to be able to walk the walk.
Yes.
So a lot of times you can tell by how a caregiver is treating that person they're doing something with at the time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, the willingness to speak to you as you walk through the room. And if you ask them a question, then how willing are they to answer that question for you? That makes a lot of difference, because that lets you know that you can have a relationship with that person as well. And caring for dementia patients or residents, you're not only caring for that resident, but you're caring for that family as well, because they're having a very difficult time doing what they're doing. There's even a sense of guilt oh my word, I feel so guilty about placing my mom, my dad, my brother, sister in somewhere or they feel guilty because they themselves feel that they can't care for them. And that it's very hurtful for them, and they're going through a very rough time. And so that same love and compassion that you have for that resident, you need to have for that resident's family as well.
So besides the probably good caregivers, always think food, always tell clients, make sure you eat.
Yes.
Absolutely make sure they feed you lunch or something, because if the food's not any good, it doesn't matter. You gotta eat. So you always
have to eat, and they have to enjoy it, because sometimes with dementia, as you know, that you have a difficult time getting them to eat. And
if it doesn't taste good, that makes it even worse.
Makes it worse. Absolutely, it does.
So what other things should somebody be important things that somebody should be looking for in a care community?
In a care community, I think that we definitely have to have that love and compassion, as I've mentioned before. That's the main ingredient right there, because you can do whatever you do throughout the day for them. If you're doing it with love and compassion, everything is going to fall into place, and it's going to be a great place to be. I think in looking for a community, there's no perfect place. And you're not going to find total 100% perfection, but you get those that strive. Look for those that strive for the best for your loved one, and the best for you as a family.
And so tell our listeners, and you work for Beehive Homes of Spring, and so tell me a little bit about your facilities.
About here,
Yes.
yes, we're 16 private rooms, and it's a smaller community. And I feel in smaller communities, I've worked in small communities and I've worked in large communities. And I feel that the small community is a better atmosphere for the people because there's more interaction with the resident, because you have more time with them, and you can spend that with them. You can take a little bit with the family as well. Activity wise, activities are one thing that you definitely want them to be involved in, keeping their mind busy, as busy as possible. And because you're going to have some that they're beyond an attention span, and it may be a little more one-on-one, even walking with them and talking to them while they walk, or helping them get from one place to another, in any type of activity that you can create. I believe here we offer a lot of those things, and just that loving, compassionate atmosphere, the feel of home, because it's more of a home-like setting. And I think that's very, very important.
So tell somebody how they find you.
Well, you can find me on our website. You can go to Beehive Homes of Spring Assisted Living and Memory Care. We're at http://beehivehomes.com. And or you can reach me by phone anytime. I'm here for you. And that's 346-442-4234. And I would be happy to answer any questions I could, or any way that I could help someone.
So I appreciate it, Lee, you being on the show today and all your good information, and I look forward to talking again to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.